Welcome back to the channel where history meets mystery, and where ordinary coins can tell extraordinary stories. Today's episode will blow your mind as we unravel the bizarre and fascinating tale behind a humble Lincoln penny from 2006 that somehow climbed to an astronomical value of $83 million. That's right, a 1-cent coin, pocket change by every standard, now etched into history as one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. You might be wondering how a coin produced in the millions could ever hold such unimaginable worth. Well, buckle in, because this journey is filled with secrets, unexpected twists, lost records, and a web of conspiracy that has numismatists, historians, and collectors around the world still scratching their heads. It all started like any other year at the United States Mint. In 2006, the US economy was churning along, blissfully unaware of the financial crisis that lurked just 2 years ahead. The Lincoln penny was still being struck by the billions, minted in Philadelphia and Denver with the classic copper-plated zinc composition first introduced in 1982. To the average person, the 2006 penny was no different from any other, familiar, ordinary, even a little boring. But little did anyone know, something unprecedented was about to happen that year. Right under the noses of the mint officials and coin collectors alike. The first whispers about the 2006 penny came years later, in 2014, when a strange coin surfaced at a small auction house in Arizona. Listed with no fanfare, it was described merely as an unusual Lincoln cent, possibly a mint error. The coin drew minor attention until a local collector, known for his obsession with microdetails, took a closer look. What he found was enough to launch a global treasure hunt and shake the very foundations of the numismatic world. The coin didn't just have an error, it was made of an entirely different composition. It was heavier, darker, and when tested under various instruments, it revealed an alloy never before seen in US coinage. The coin was pulled from the auction before it could be sold. Experts descended upon it for analysis. Spectrometers, electron microscopes, radiographs, every tool imaginable was used to decode the mystery. The results were baffling. This wasn't just a penny made on a different planchette. It appeared to be a prototype, a test strike made using a unique combination of rare earth metals, possibly part of an experimental minting process that was never meant to leave the mint's premises. In short, it was never supposed to exist in the wild. Initial findings suggested the coin was made from a blend of titanium, palladium, and a small amount of neodymium. Why such expensive and industrially vital materials would be used for a penny was unclear. The mint had never publicly announced any such test, and internal documents offered no clues. But one thing was certain, this was no ordinary coin. Its creation required intention, access, and equipment not available to the public. Someone had gone through great lengths to create this coin, and then either lost it, stole it, or intentionally released it into circulation. Before we knew it, the coin was making headlines. Auction houses began calling it the ghost cent. News outlets dubbed it the titanium penny. Reddit exploded with theories, some realistic, others wildly speculative. One user claimed the coin was part of a cancelled government project to make anti-counterfeit currency during the Bush administration. Another insisted it had extraterrestrial origins. While the truth remained elusive, the frenzy it created was very real. Soon, the coin was authenticated by multiple third-party grading services. Each noted not just the alloy anomaly, but also subtle die differences that indicated it may have been struck using a custom die never used for mass production. The spacing on the words, "In God We Trust," was slightly off, and the bust of Lincoln had an unusual shadow on his jawline. Small details, but enough to distinguish it from its mass-produced siblings. Numismatists started speculating that this coin could be the only known survivor of a clandestine experimental series, perhaps part of a secretive mint initiative that was scrapped before it ever saw the light of day. But how did it end up in circulation? That was the million-dollar, or in this case, $83 million, question. Investigative journalists took up the challenge, digging into employment records, procurement logs, and confidential whistleblower testimony. It wasn't long before a former Denver Mint security officer came forward with a cryptic message. In an anonymous letter sent to a major coin publication, the officer wrote, "Not every prototype was destroyed. Some left the building during the night, when fewer eyes were watching." While unverified, the letter added a chilling layer to the growing theory that someone on the inside may have smuggled out a handful of test coins. Despite the mounting intrigue, the original coin remained under tight security. It had been acquired by a private collector who kept their identity hidden, storing the coin in a high-security vault in Switzerland. Occasionally, heavily guarded viewings were allowed for select numismatic scholars. These viewings only deepened the legend, as every detail of the coin was scrutinized, photographed, and digitally rendered for future study. Still, the mystery endured. Then came the valuation. In a record-shattering private transaction in 2019, the 2006 experimental penny was sold for a staggering $83 million. The buyer was an anonymous billionaire with a known affinity for rare historical artifacts, including ancient manuscripts, extinct taxidermy specimens, and Cold War relics. With the coin's value now enshrined in history, its story entered the pantheon of legendary collectibles. This, however, was far from the end. In fact, the sale triggered a global coin hunt of epic proportions. Thousands began combing through their change, hoping to stumble upon another experimental penny. Libraries were flooded with requests for mint reports, amateur sleuths began reaching out to retired mint employees, and coin shows were overwhelmed with hopeful collectors presenting 2006 pennies for analysis. Strangely, a few more anomalies began to surface, though none matched the original in every detail. One coin found in Oregon had the same alloy composition but was heavily scratched and worn. Another turned up in Virginia with the correct weight and luster but bore a die crack that seemed inconsistent with the original prototype. These coins sold for millions nonetheless, but the 2006 Ghost Cent remained the holy grail. Even now, almost 2 decades after its mysterious escape from the mint, no one knows exactly how it came to be. Was it a mistake? A leak? A message? Or a clever plant by someone with a vision to turn a humble penny into one of the most iconic pieces of modern numismatic history? The answers remain hidden, locked away with the coin and the people who know the truth. As this mystery unfolded, so too did the value of the original Ghost Cent. Private appraisals now pegged it at upwards of $150 million. Some even suggested it could be priceless, given its unique provenance and mythic status. But even as the coin's monetary worth ballooned, something deeper had taken root, a transformation of the way society viewed value, authenticity, and rarity. People were no longer just interested in gold and diamonds. They wanted story. They wanted something no one else had. And the 2006 Ghost Cent had become the epitome of that desire. But then, just when the story seemed to have reached its peak, another shockwave hit the numismatic world. A whistleblower claiming to be a former technician at a private lab contracted by the Mint came forward with photographs of experimental planchets and memos referring to HTX-19. The lab, according to the whistleblower, had been tasked with testing ultra-hard, corrosion-resistant materials for use in a new anti-forgery initiative, intended to eventually replace all base metal coins in circulation. The program was cancelled abruptly, and all prototypes were ordered to be destroyed. But, the technician claimed, not all were destroyed. Some were simply forgotten. He provided a photograph of a drawer in a metal cabinet, filled with what appeared to be titanium-based pennies, marked "Test Only, Do Not Circulate." The photo's authenticity was never verified, but again, that only deepened the legend. By 2023, the Ghost Cent had taken on a symbolic power. Museums and art galleries began including it in exhibitions about belief, trust, and mystery. It appeared in music videos, comics, and digital art NFTs. An AI-generated song based on the coin's legend hit the top 40 charts. A novelist published a 600-page thriller titled 1 Cent, which fictionalized the coin's origin as part of a government cover-up involving Cold War satellites and Soviet spies. People wanted to believe in something incredible, and the 2006 penny offered that chance. It was a real-world mystery that lived at the intersection of economics, science, politics, and mythology. It wasn't just about copper and zinc anymore. It was about secrets, about the possibility that somewhere, in someone's pocket, lay the next ghost cent.